Appreciate you guys coming out to visit us today. A lot of excitement, obviously. We opened up training camp today. Our guys have had a tremendous off-season, spring, summer, really working together. A lot of connected and committed guys together. I think on the heels of finishing the season strong, all that did was really just give the guys confidence in what we're doing, where the program is headed, how they're developing, and that leads you into the off season. And you still have to do the work because what we did last year is over with. We just want to improve upon where we were. We're going into this off season, to the season, I should say, relatively healthy, and we want to stay that way. We get guys like Fanaje Gote back, Darrell Chami, Deontay Banks, guys that we lost last year during the season that are very impactful players for us, talent-wise, leadership-wise, and guys that have been around here help building this thing. So, we're very excited in that regard as well. We got a lot of experience coming back on defense that is really going to bode well for us, obviously, in the league and the conference that we play in, week out, having guys that are battle-tested. So, with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
You guys raise your hands if you have questions. We'll get you the mic. Start with Chris on the right.
Hey, Coach. Chris Hayat from Herberton Radio in Baltimore. Last year in the bowl game against Virginia Tech, you guys dominated with the defense. Is that something you guys are going to work on for this year to carry over from that big win in New York?
Well, we obviously want to take the things we did well and expound on it and make that part of who we are. And again, we preach to the guys that you got to outwork the day before. And so we would like to think that we're beyond the bowl game in terms of just celebrating that win. Obviously, we got to start all over again. But yes, we want to take everything we did well from a technique standpoint, bringing the physicality, but playing together. In this day and age, that's an emphasis of ours. This training camp is being together, not letting our teammates down, and making our defense as one. We got 11 sets of cleats in the ground on the same page. That bodes well. And even if we're wrong, we're all wrong, we're all right. So I think that's the key for us right now, and that's the biggest thing we took out of the bowl game. We bonded together. It was during the time where COVID was still rampant, and so we had to stick together. We were still kind of social distancing, and that whole experience was really good for our players. And a lot of those guys are back and ready to take the next step.
Second row to your left, Noah, then Ben.
Hey, Coach. Noah Ferguson from the Diamondback. Dante Trader Jr. is poised for a breakout season. What does he bring to your defense?
Dante stepped on campus last year and showed some leadership as a true freshman. He's very smart, intelligent football player. You want that on the back end. Obviously, us losing Nick Cross and Mosley, two very good football players that were very experienced, moved on to the NFL. But Dante, he learned a lot from those guys. He's a film junkie. He's a meeting room rat, and he has some alpha in him as well. Meaning he's not afraid to say things that need to be said that may be uncomfortable, and I like that about it. And that's really what you want on the back end. You want guys that are going to communicate and talk and help keep an umbrella on our defense in a way that we get lined up and we're executing from the back all the way to the front.
Coach, Ben Reitman, WNBC Sports. Tar Heels still kind of had a breakout game in the Pinstripe Bowl. What are you looking forward to seeing in him this season?
Continuing to develop, continuing to be a leader, growth, maturity, all of the above. You're looking at a guy who came in as a freshman All-American, battled through some injuries during the season last year, but he's a guy he's going to give you everything he has. He's a guy that you don't have to say, whoa, go, because he's going to go. You may have to say whoa, but not go. So as long as he continues along those paths, I think he obviously has a lot of talent, and just really understanding the game from a technical standpoint, understanding how to apply his quickness, his twitch, his instincts, and how to see things coming before they happen a little bit better. So I'm looking for him to take the next step at being a pro.
Emily Jubava, Washington Post. Coach Oxley talked about the staff continuity and alignment, and you're one of the guys who's been around here for 4 years. How does that manifest itself in the meeting rooms, on the field, when you have a staff that has some guys who have been around for a bit?
Well, you know what, we have tremendous alignment in our defensive staff room right now with, Coach Lance Thompson, LT as we call him. You know, he's been around the block a few times, very experienced in the defense that we're trying to implement and install, understands the reasons why and the reasons why not to. You know, Wesley Neighbors grew up in the same type of system down at Alabama. You know, Coach Henry Baker, a former player who's been around here for a while, has developed our cornerback room to one of the best in the country. We got James Thomas, who's around here last year with us as a special teams guy. But, you know, we got a lot of experience, and we got some youth. We're able to kind of touch every gauntlet, if you will, you know, in terms of just being able to connect with our players, being on the same page. And because we all kind of very familiar with the system, then now we can talk through differences a lot easier and understand it and see it the same way.
Coach, Emmett Siegel, Testudo Times. You mentioned the injuries to Fanaje Gote and Darrell and Jami. And with those two, you know, paired with some transfers coming into the linebacker room and some freshmen, it feels like this season probably going to see a lot of guys on the field that maybe we didn't last season, maybe with the exception of Ruben. What are you expecting out of that room, and, you know, who do you think might step up and really, you know, make a bunch of important plays for you at that position this season?
Well, you know, our job is to get them all ready to step up. And really, fall camp is, I'm just interested and excited to see it, just as everyone else, in terms of how our guys develop and how they go through the, training camp. But we want to be able to play as many guys as we can up front. You know, we're going to play teams that's going to try to snap the ball 80 to 100 times in a game, and you got to have fresh legs out there for 4 quarters. And the only way up front, the only way you do that is to develop enough depth. And I think we showed that a little bit last year. We bring a lot of those guys back this year, and I expect Darrell, Fanaje, all those guys to be right on point with that. You know, we understand that the fourth quarter is where we got to win games in this league, and the only way you do that is if you have guys that are fresh and ready to go. So that's our plan, is to play as many guys as we possibly can up front.
Matt?
I'm Mike Fear, it's on the black and gold. And you kind of hinted at it, you know, Darrell Lachami obviously coming back, Darius Cowan is another guy who can kind of play inside and out. So I guess kind of building off that, how vital is the having Cowan not only in the program now, but being here in January? And then when you kind of look inside, you know, it seems like, you know, Caleb Wheatland, Jay Sean Barham kind of always kind of come up first. So what's the vibe there?
Van Darius is a guy that brings a lot of position flexibility. As you mentioned, he's a guy that could be a DPR designated pass rusher. He's a guy that has the ability to play behind the ball as a box linebacker. He brings a lot of versatility on third down. He's tough, he's very instinctive, and he's experienced as well. The young freshman linebacker coming in, Caleb, as well as Jay Sean, those guys benefited obviously from being here from January up until now. They got a spring practice under their belt. They showed more instincts than I anticipated. So, we're just going to continue to develop them, give them things that they can handle, and as they continue to get better and grow in it, give them more.
Hey, Coach, Ryan McFadden from the Baltimore Sun. Could you talk a little bit more about Jay Sean? Like, he was one of the highly regarded recruits in this recent recruiting class, and what are you looking forward to see out of him? And during the spring practices, what did you like from him?
I loved his instincts. Jay Sean played very instinctively. Coming in as a freshman, we say, well, we got to teach guys what to do, how to do it. Then they got to understand why it's important. Well, he's in that phase of learning those things, but while he's doing it, he's showing instincts, he's showing toughness, he's showing athleticism, a lot of the things he showed in high school. So for him, coming in early was a great benefit. I think he's in the stage of really kind of knowing how to do it. He spent a lot of time this offseason knowing what to do, and I think the way he was brought up and the way he was coached in high school, he understands why working hard is important. So getting him to know how to do everything we're asking him to do, as well as giving him enough, not too much because he is a freshman, but enough where he can go out and be successful and be consistent and allow his confidence continue to grow.
Take the last question from Noah in the second row.
Yeah, Coach, as it is with every college football team, there's people coming in, people coming out. What do you think is the biggest change that you're anticipating from last year's defense to this year?
Well, I think it's just being on the same page, communication pre-snap. I would like for you to see us be very animated in how we communicate before the ball is snapped. Again, I think if you got everybody on the same page, no matter what the situation is, we can live to see another down. We gave up a ton of explosive plays last year that, it's been a goal of ours to eliminate that. And the first thing you got to do to eliminate that is for everyone to be fundamentally sound together. So that's what our camp is about. That's what, we want to be able to install enough defense where we can scratch every itch, but we want to run a defense that our players know and that our players feel comfortable running. And I think that's the best bet for us, and that's where we are, and that's the difference that you'll see in the Terps on defense this year.
All right, thank you, Coach. We appreciate the time.
Thank y'all.
Our offensive players are